Have you ever felt that your life, meant to be a time of peace and fulfillment, has turned into a series of sacrifices? Are you questioning your independence and happiness as you navigate the complexities of family life? If so, you're not alone. Today, we'll explore the poignant story of Leah, a woman who faced the challenges of seeking independence in her later years and the profound impact it had on her life. As we delve into Leahs' journey, you'll discover how the quest for independence is not just a personal choice, but a vital step toward nurturing our well-being. We'll reflect on the hidden sacrifices that can emerge when we prioritize family over ourselves and the emotional toll this can take. By the end of this video, you'll gain insights on how to reclaim your identity, communicate your needs, and foster healthier family relationships. Join me as we uncover the lessons from Leah's experience, offering you the chance to reflect on your own life choices. What changes can you make to ensure your happiness? How can you redefine your relationships for a more balanced and fulfilling existence? Don't miss this opportunity to embark on a transformative reflection that could change the way you approach your golden years. Let's get started. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. The daily life that once felt like a warm embrace can quickly transform into a landscape of relentless sacrifice, where the elderly find themselves grappling with profound questions about their independence and the very essence of their quality of life. This is a stage that should be graced with tranquility and fulfillment, yet it can instead become a suffocating cycle of obligation and self-neglect. In this tumultuous journey, there emerges a pressing need for deep, introspective reflection on what it truly means to live well, to find joy, and to honor one's desires. Today, I invite you to immerse yourself in this poignant exploration, shedding light on the implications of choices that many of us face, often in silence. Let me share with you the story of my dear friend Leah. After the heartbreaking loss of her husband, a gaping void settled in her heart, leaving her adrift in a sea of sorrow. In her quest for solace, she made the significant decision to move in with her youngest son, Carlos. For most of her life, she had poured every ounce of love and devotion into her family, embodying the selfless spirit of a mother who had always prioritized her children's needs above her own. During her husband's illness, she stood vigil by his side, never once complaining, embodying strength in the face of despair. Yet, after his passing, an emptiness consumed her. Clinging to the hope that being closer to Carlos and her grandchildren would mend her broken spirit, she smiled gently while packing her bags, believing wholeheartedly that this change would benefit everyone. It will be good for everyone, she reassured herself, envisioning a vibrant future filled with laughter and connection, full of optimism. She saw this move not merely as a relocation, but as a profound opportunity to rekindle the bonds that had once brought her joy, to be an integral part of her grandchildren's lives, and to lend a hand to Carlos and his wife Marina in their daily routines. However, as we will soon discover, the path to this new chapter was far more complicated than she had anticipated. It's a journey that prompts us to examine the delicate balance between family ties and personal fulfillment, and the sacrifices that can quietly erode our identities. So, let's delve deeper into Leah's experience and uncover the heart-wrenching realities that can accompany the pursuit of closeness within our families. The anticipation of becoming an integral part of a loving, united family filled Leah with an exhilarating sense of hope. Initially, everything seemed to align perfectly, like pieces of a beautiful puzzle. Carlos's house, with its spacious rooms and inviting atmosphere, quickly became a haven of warmth and laughter. The children, brimming with joy, relished the prospect of having their grandmother nearby, their little faces lighting up with delight as she entered the room. Leah poured her heart into her new role, dedicating herself to cooking comforting meals, tidying up the house, and cherishing precious moments with her grandchildren. In those early days, she felt profoundly useful and deeply needed, as if her presence was a vital thread in the fabric of family life. However, As the days turned into weeks, a subtle shift began to cast shadows over her initial enthusiasm. What had once been simple favors transformed insidiously into a heavy load of daily responsibilities. The dream of companionship and emotional support quickly morphed into a grueling routine, with Leah inadvertently stepping into the role of an unofficial caregiver. The afternoons she had envisioned as peaceful moments of reading or leisurely walks were swallowed by a relentless cycle of to-do lists and family obligations. The vibrant joy that had once filled her heart began to dim, overshadowed by the growing weight of her commitments. Each passing day, she felt the burdensome weight of her obligations pressing down more heavily, while the simple pleasures of coexistence faded further from her grasp. As the emotional landscape of her new life shifted, Leah grappled with feelings of disillusionment. The bright promise of togetherness now felt tinged with a sense of loss. Loss of her own time, her desires, and most poignantly, her sense of self. In the quest for connection, she found herself adrift in a sea of responsibilities, questioning whether this was truly the life she had envisioned or a silent surrender to the demands of family life. With each passing day, the delicate balance between giving and receiving seemed to tilt dangerously, leaving her yearning for a spark of joy amidst the growing shadows of obligation. "Mom, can you pick up the kids from school today?" Carlos often asked, his voice laced with the casualness of routine. Although fatigue clung to her bones, Leah always replied with a warm smile and a nod of agreement. Yet, as the days wore on, a creeping sense of loneliness began to take root in her heart. Ironically, the daily interactions that were meant to bring her comfort instead morphed into an emotional burden she had never anticipated. Conversations with Carlos and Marina dwindled to practical exchanges, revolving solely around the minutiae of daily life. She felt like a mere fixture in the household, her presence deemed essential, yet increasingly undervalued, as if she had become just another cog in the relentless machine of the family routine. Disappointment wrapped around her like a persistent shadow, one she could not shake off. With every passing day, Leah found herself questioning the life she had chosen for her golden years. Was this the life she had envisioned, filled with warmth and connection? Or had she traded her own needs and desires for the fleeting comfort of proximity to her family? The dream of a satisfying, love-filled ending, surrounded by the very people she cherished, felt like a distant memory, slipping further away as the weight of her sacrifices pressed down on her spirit. As these reflections deepened, she began to realize the urgency of seeking something different, something that was authentically hers. The yearning for fulfillment stirred within her, urging her to consider her aspirations and desires, long overshadowed by the responsibilities that now defined her existence. The prospect of carving out a space for herself, one where she could reclaim her identity and experience joy, became increasingly compelling. Leah felt a flicker of hope, igniting within her the courage to explore new paths, to redefine what it truly meant to live well in her later years. The first signs of conflict emerged almost imperceptibly, like faint cracks spreading through a once impregnable wall. At first, Leah brushed aside her discomfort, believing it was entirely natural for Carlos and Marina to ask for help with household chores and childcare. She felt a deep sense of duty, convinced that her presence was a gift to her family, a way to contribute to their well-being. After all, she had always been a devoted mother, nurturing her children with unwavering love and dedication. However, as time passed, these seemingly innocent requests shifted from occasional favors to a relentless tide of expectation. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. With each passing day, Leah began to sense a troubling shift. Her responsibilities burgeoned, while the precious time she once devoted to her pursuits and relaxation slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. The situation reached a tipping point when she realized that her presence, once cherished, was increasingly perceived as a mere obligation. The warmth of affection that used to flow freely from Carlos and Marina faded into the background, replaced by impersonal demands that felt more like commands than requests. "Mom, could you stop by the market today?" Marina would ask, her tone devoid of warmth, as if it were Leah's duty to cater to the family's needs without question. This gradual erosion of intimacy began to weigh heavily on Leah's heart. She found herself grappling with the suffocating realization that the very act of being present had transformed into a source of emotional turmoil. The love she had once poured into her family now felt overshadowed by a growing resentment, and the joys she had anticipated in her later years began to wane. The sacrifices she had made for the sake of closeness now seemed to come at an exorbitant cost. A cost measured not just in her time and energy, but in the essence of her identity as a valued and respected mother. As these feelings swirled within her, Leah faced an unsettling truth. The dream of a harmonious family life was becoming a bittersweet reality, one that required her to confront her own needs and desires more fiercely than ever before. Slowly but surely, Leah found herself becoming the linchpin of the household, shouldering responsibilities that Carlos and Marina either could not or simply chose not to tackle. What had begun as a hopeful journey toward familial closeness morphed into a relentless cycle of stress, where the role of the beloved mother blurred dangerously with that of an unpaid assistant. This newfound identity weighed heavily on her, pressing down like an oppressive fog that shrouded her spirit. The small frustrations of daily life began to pile up, creating an ever-thickening tension that simmered just beneath the surface of family interactions. Leah felt increasingly trapped in a routine that felt more like a cage than a choice, where her own needs and desires were constantly pushed aside in favor of others. The lack of recognition for her contributions gnawed at her, eroding the enthusiasm and hope that had once blossomed in her heart when she first moved in. Each task completed without a word of gratitude, each request made with little thought to her well-being, became an emotional wound she carried silently, festering in the shadows of her mind. What should have been a warm sanctuary of love and support instead transformed into a suffocating prison. The home, which had promised refuge and connection, now felt like a labyrinth with no exit, where her independence and dignity gradually faded into obscurity. Leah yearned for the simple joys of life, an afternoon spent reading, a leisurely walk in the park, or a heartfelt conversation filled with warmth and laughter. Instead, she found herself navigating an exhausting maze of obligations and expectations, feeling increasingly invisible amidst the chaos of family life. As the days wore on, the bright colors of her dreams grew dull, overshadowed by a growing sense of disillusionment and a deep longing for the life she had once envisioned for herself. Little by little, they sacrificed their own needs and desires at the altar of family life, and the emotional toll of this new role weighed heavily on Leah's heart. Each day, she felt herself slipping further away from her true self, reduced to a mere participant in a life that offered her neither joy nor fulfillment. The love she had once cherished for Carlos and his family began to be clouded by a growing tide of resentment and sadness, a stark contrast to the warmth she had hoped to cultivate. Instead of drawing them closer, their daily coexistence seemed to erect emotional barriers that, if ignored, threatened to become insurmountable walls. What began as minor conflicts now carved deep fissures in a relationship that had once felt unbreakable. The once gentle ebb and flow of family life turned turbulent, with Leah feeling more like a reluctant caregiver than a beloved mother. It dawned on her one fateful day that something had to change. The peaceful night she once enjoyed transformed into long hours of introspection, filled with a haunting sense of loss. Lying in bed, she replayed the happiest moments of her lifetimes when she reveled in her autonomy, making choices freely and living fully. As these memories washed over her, what had initially been mere annoyances morphed into profound discomfort that gripped her soul. She began to grapple with a heart-wrenching realization. By moving in with Carlos, she may have unwittingly surrendered something far more precious than she had anticipated: her independence, her identity, and above all, her happiness. The vibrant tapestry of her life, once rich with color and possibility, now felt frayed and dull, leaving her to ponder the cost of her sacrifices and the path she had chosen. Each reflection deepened her resolve to seek a different way forward, one that could restore not just her sense of self, but her joy in the life she had yet to fully reclaim. The crushing weight of living someone else's life instead of her own began to engulf Leah, leaving her breathless with a profound sense of loss. Thoughts swirled in her mind like a storm, forcing her to confront the uncomfortable truth. Was this the life she envisioned for herself? She started to realize how far she had strayed from the simple joys that once filled her heart with happiness. Strolling alone in the park, immersing herself in her favorite novels, or simply relishing the freedom to choose how to spend her time. The role she had assumed in Carlos's home had created an ever-widening chasm between her true self and the expectations placed upon her, leaving her feeling adrift and unanchored. It became increasingly clear that her presence there served no one well, neither herself nor her family. Yet, the prospect of leaving and embarking on a new chapter was fraught with emotional turmoil. The thought of choosing independence came with the heartbreaking realization that it would mean stepping away from her grandchildren, the very source of immense joy in her life. Still, deep down, she knew that to be the mother and grandmother her family needed, she had to first nurture her well-being. To be well meant reclaiming her independence and the power to live on her terms. The cherished memories of her life before moving in with Carlos began to flood back with vivid clarity, reminding her of the happiness she had crafted amidst adversity. Even in the wake of her husband's death, she had cultivated a fulfilling existence, surrounded by friends and engaging in activities that ignited her spirit. As these memories solidified, the idea of returning to her hometown took root in her mind, a place where her roots ran deep, where she could rediscover the essence of who she truly was. The vision of reclaiming her autonomy, the chance to immerse herself in the vibrancy of her own life, began to shimmer like a distant beacon of hope. Leah felt a stirring within her, a desire to break free from the confines of her current situation and embrace a future that promised the freedom and fulfillment she longed for. The journey ahead would not be easy, but it was one she was determined to undertake, for the sake of her happiness and the love she wished to give her family. The clarity of her thoughts began to crystallize, illuminating the path ahead. Leah realized that her happiness did not hinge on being perpetually close to her family. Rather, it thrived in finding a delicate balance between loving her children and nurturing her well-being. With a newfound resolve, she reached a pivotal conclusion. To safeguard her dignity, mental health, and happiness, she needed to make a courageous decision. She knew that articulating this choice to Carlos and his family would not be an easy task. It was daunting to think of shattering the expectations they had formed around her presence in their home. Yet, the awareness that she could no longer live as a silent, passive figure in her son's life ignited a fierce determination within her. She yearned to reclaim her autonomy, to steer the course of her destiny, even if it meant braving the uncertainty of the unknown once more. With this conviction burning brightly in her heart, Leah set about planning her next steps. She understood that genuine happiness could only blossom if she dared to choose what was best for herself. The weight of her decision both thrilled and terrified her, but the prospect of regaining control over her life was exhilarating. One fateful morning, emboldened by her resolve, she decided it was time to share her thoughts with her family. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee lingered in the air, a comforting backdrop to the significant conversation that lay ahead. She summoned every ounce of courage and called Carlos and Marina to join her at the table. Her heart raced, but as she gazed into Carlos's eyes, a wave of surprising calm washed over her. "I've been thinking a lot lately," she began, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions within. "It's time for me to follow my path. I feel I need to return to my home, to my life, where I can find the peace and independence I have lost." As the words hung in the air, Leah felt a mixture of fear and liberation, knowing she had taken the first brave step toward reclaiming her life. She was ready to face whatever came next, for the promise of true happiness awaited her beyond the confines of expectation. The silence that followed Lee's heartfelt declaration hung in the air, thick with tension and unspoken emotions. It felt as though time had come to a standstill, stretching the moment into an eternity. Carlos and Marina exchanged looks, Their expressions a mix of surprise, concern, and a hint of understanding. "But, Mom, are you sure? The kids will miss you so much," Carlos finally managed to say, his voice tinged with disbelief as he processed the gravity of her words. Leah took a deep, steadying breath, fully aware of the emotional weight this conversation carried. It was a difficult but necessary step toward her well-being. "I love my grandchildren, Carlos," she replied, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I will always be there when you need me, but I need more. I need to rediscover who I am and do the things that make me happy. If I don't do it now, I fear I will lose myself forever." Her heart raced as she spoke, the vulnerability of her truth pouring out like an open wound. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment too below to let me know that you are still here with me. Marina, who had been quietly absorbing the conversation, slowly nodded, her expression shifting from surprise to understanding. "We will miss you a lot," she said softly, her voice filled with sincerity. "But we want you to be happy, and if that means going back to your home, then it's what you should do." Leah felt a wave of relief wash over her at Marina's words. For the first time in what felt like ages, she sensed that they truly understood her plight. Their acceptance lifted a weight off her shoulders, and in that moment, she realized she was not alone in this journey. Their support gave her the courage to embrace her decision fully, reinforcing the belief that sometimes prioritizing one's happiness is not only necessary, but also an act of love for oneself and for those we care about. The day Leah returned to her hometown was a whirlwind of emotions, each pulling at her heartstrings in a dance of bittersweet nostalgia. As she packed her belongings, a poignant mixture of sadness and excitement coursed through her veins. Leaving Carlos's house felt like tearing a piece from her heart. The memories of shared laughter and the warmth of family lingered like echoes. Yet, the prospect of returning to her own home, where she could once again live on her terms, ignited a flicker of hope within her soul. When she finally arrived at her destination, the moment she stepped through the door, a surge of emotions crashed over her like a tidal wave. The familiar creak of the floorboards beneath her feet was a comforting reminder of the life she once cherished. A welcoming silence enveloped her, contrasting starkly with the bustling atmosphere of her son's house. This was her space, her sanctuary, a refuge that resonated with the essence of who she was. The weight that had pressed down on her shoulders for so long seemed to evaporate, replaced by an exhilarating sense of freedom that was almost indescribable. In the days that followed, Leah embarked on a journey of rediscovery, slowly peeling back the layers of her former self. She resumed her cherished morning walks, feeling the crisp air fill her lungs and the sun's gentle rays kiss her skin, reigniting her spirit. She reconnected with old friends, sharing laughter and stories that reminded her of the joy found in companionship. Each conversation felt like a balm to her soul, healing the wounds of isolation she had endured. Moreover, Leah embraced the opportunity to explore new hobbies, activities she had longed to pursue but had shelved away in the name of duty and sacrifice. Whether it was painting, gardening, or diving into a captivating book, she relished the chance to engage with her passions, allowing her creativity to flourish. Each day became a canvas of possibilities, and with every brushstroke or seed she planted, she reclaimed a piece of herself, reminding her that life could be vibrant and fulfilling once more. Each small step Leah took toward her independence became a powerful affirmation of her choice, reinforcing her belief that she had finally made the right decision. With every morning walk and new hobby she embraced, she felt more alive and more deeply connected to herself than she had in years. The vibrant colors of her life began to resurface, reminding her of the joy she had long set aside. She understood that this new phase of her journey wouldn't be without its challenges, but now she faced them with a newfound confidence, bolstered by the knowledge that she had chosen her path. The freedom that had once felt like a distant dream was now woven into the fabric of her reality, and she was resolute in her determination to savor every moment of this personal renaissance. Lee's experience poignantly highlights the delicate art of finding balance in family relationships, especially when it comes to the cohabitation of elderly parents and their adult children. Her story serves as a powerful reminder that excessive closeness can often create emotional distances, generating tensions that never existed before. By choosing to return to her own home, Leah sought not only independence, but also the vital recognition of the importance of maintaining a healthy boundary between herself and her family. She learned that love does not thrive in an environment where one feels smothered by responsibility. Instead, it flourishes in a space where each individual can grow, express themselves, and cherish their unique identities. In reclaiming her autonomy, Leah paved the way for a more authentic connection with her family, one that allowed her to love her children and grandchildren from a place of strength rather than obligation. As she embraced this new chapter, she understood that nurturing her happiness ultimately enriched her family relationships, transforming them into a source of mutual respect and affection rather than unspoken tension. Physical distance, rather than signaling disunity, can be a crucial element in preserving and even strengthening family ties. When each individual has their own space, visits transform into cherished moments of genuine connection, free from the everyday tensions that often arise from constant cohabitation. This delicate balance between closeness and distance allows each family member to live their lives fully and authentically. Adult children, despite their deep love for their parents, require space to establish their routines, raise their children, and nurture their relationships. Likewise, elderly parents thrive in environments that enable them to maintain their autonomy while pursuing their activities and interests. When this balance is skillfully achieved, family interactions take on a new and enriching quality. The physical distance fosters a sense of nostalgia, and this longing, when accompanied by thoughtfully planned visits and gatherings, deepens mutual love and respect. Each encounter becomes a celebration rather than an obligation, filled with the warmth of choice rather than the weight of expectation. For Leah, her visits to Carlos and his family are now imbued with moments of joy, laughter, and heartfelt connection, allowing her to be fully present without the underlying tensions that once clouded their interactions. In this new dynamic, each gathering is a chance to share stories, create memories, and celebrate the love that binds them together. Lee's independence empowers her to engage with her family from a place of strength, where her contributions are appreciated and her presence is desired. She arrives with a heart full of love and enthusiasm, ready to embrace the time spent with her grandchildren, engaging in their lives with renewed vigor and joy. This transformation not only enhances her relationships, but also sets a powerful example of the importance of maintaining boundaries, ultimately nurturing a family culture where each member can flourish individually while coming together in meaningful ways. Leah now experiences authentic joy and mutual respect during her visits, knowing she is there by choice, embraced by her family with open arms. They recognize that her presence is a precious gift, not an obligation. This new relational dynamic, where balance is cherished, infuses every moment together with meaning and significance, nourishing family ties in a nurturing and healthy way. Balance in family relationships fosters harmonious cohabitation, granting everyone the opportunity to grow and develop individually. It allows parents to retain their dignity and independence in old age, while children learn to appreciate shared time and space from a fresh perspective. Leah's journey revealed that by prioritizing her own life and happiness, she not only safeguarded her mental and emotional well-being, but also revitalized her bond with Carlos and her grandchildren. This balance, although often challenging to achieve, is essential for the well-being of all family members and the continuity of healthy, joyful relationships. It teaches everyone the value of boundaries and the importance of nurturing one's own identity while still cherishing family connections. Leah has become a living testament to the idea that a fulfilling life, rich in love and respect, is possible when individuals choose to honor both their own needs and those of their loved ones. As she navigates this new chapter, each visit becomes a celebration of shared joy, a testament to the strength of family, and an affirmation of the beauty found in maintaining a healthy balance. Constant sacrifice, when practiced excessively, can become a perilous trap, particularly for elderly parents who, in their deep desire to protect and support their children, inadvertently neglect their own needs and desires. Leah, in her heartfelt eagerness to assist Carlos and his family, reached a critical juncture where she surrendered everything that once brought her joy and fulfillment. She genuinely believed that by prioritizing her children's needs over her own, she was embodying the very essence of motherhood. However, this noble intention gradually led her down a path of profound dissatisfaction and an unsettling loss of identity. What had begun as an act of unconditional love morphed into a bitter sense of resentment, not due to a lack of affection for her children, but rather because she felt she was sacrificing herself on the altar of familial obligation. When parents devote themselves wholly to their children's needs, neglecting their aspirations and joys, they risk drifting away from the very things that make them unique and truly happy. Over time, this continuous self-renunciation can breed a pervasive sense of emptiness, a haunting feeling that life has lost its vibrancy and meaning. Leah experienced this stark reality firsthand. Gradually, she found herself abandoning her favorite books, forsaking the social groups that once invigorated her spirit, and neglecting even the basic acts of self-care that had been integral to her happiness. Each sacrifice, although well-intentioned, began to drain her vitality and extinguish her inner light. As the days turned into weeks and months, Leah started to feel a bitter resentment, not stemming from a lack of recognition or appreciation, but rather from the deep, unsettling realization that she had lost something irreplaceable: her essence. The vibrant woman who once thrived on connection, creativity, and self-expression seemed to fade into the background, overshadowed by the relentless demands of her role as a caregiver. This profound disconnection from her own identity left her feeling like a mere shadow of herself, trapped in a life defined by others' expectations rather than her desires. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. In this poignant struggle, Leah's story serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of self-care and the necessity of nurturing one's happiness. It underscores the truth that, in giving so much of ourselves to others, we must not forget to honor our own needs and dreams. Ultimately, it is through reclaiming her identity that Leah could begin to rediscover the joy and fulfillment that had long eluded her, embarking on a journey of self-rediscovery that would not only enrich her own life, but also, paradoxically, enhance her ability to love and support her family in a more meaningful way. It's essential to recognize that prioritizing self-care is not an act of selfishness, but rather a vital necessity for maintaining one's health and well-being. As the well-known saying goes, you cannot serve from an empty cup. For parents who aspire to be steadfast pillars of support for their children, it is crucial to ensure that they address their own emotional, physical, and mental needs first. When Leah finally made the courageous decision to prioritize her well-being, she not only reclaimed her zest for life, but also transformed into a more present and fulfilled mother and grandmother. In doing so, she was able to offer the best of herself without the burden of feeling overwhelmed or resentful. Leah's journey serves as a powerful reminder that achieving a balance between caring for others and nurturing oneself is essential for emotional health and for fostering harmonious family dynamics. Her story illustrates that independence in old age is not just beneficial for the individual seeking it, it also enriches the lives of their families. The profound realization that parents can and should prioritize their happiness without succumbing to guilt is a vital message. By taking the time to care for themselves, they equip themselves to be more effective and compassionate supporters of their loved ones. In embracing this truth, Leah not only discovered the joy of living authentically, but also set a powerful example for her family. Her newfound independence and self-awareness allowed her to engage with her children and grandchildren in a more meaningful way, cultivating deeper connections grounded in mutual respect and understanding. This balance, where self-care and familial love coexist, ensures that family relationships flourish, benefiting everyone involved. Lee's experience underscores the importance of self-love as a foundation for nurturing healthy, loving family ties, ultimately revealing that prioritizing oneself is, in fact, a profound act of love for others. Your invitation to self-reflection encourages the audience to examine their own needs and desires, paving the way for open and honest dialogue with their loved ones. This approach not only fosters individual well-being, but also serves as a blueprint for healthier, more balanced family relationships. The affirmation that true happiness stems from living authentically, rather than conforming to external expectations, is a deeply inspiring message. It resonates emotionally with those who may feel confined by roles that no longer fulfill them, offering a practical perspective on how to reclaim their lives. By embracing their true selves, individuals can break free from the confines of obligation and rediscover the joy of living fully. This shift not only enhances their happiness, but also enriches their connections with family, creating an environment where love and respect flourish. In promoting this journey of self-discovery, you empower others to take charge of their narratives, reminding them that prioritizing their happiness is a courageous and vital step toward nurturing the bonds that matter most. Concluding with the idea that independence is a precious gift we give ourselves beautifully underscores the importance of nurturing our true essence while embracing growth and learning. This hopeful and motivating message encourages us to live with authenticity and purpose, serving as a powerful closing to a meaningful narrative. The most valuable legacy we can offer our children is not just material wealth, but an example of a life lived with intention, filled with purpose and self-love. As you reflect on Leah's journey and the challenges and rewards of pursuing independence in old age, take a moment to look inward. How have you prioritized your own needs amidst family responsibilities? Have you allowed yourself the freedom to live according to your own desires and passions? Leah's courageous decision to reclaim her happiness serves as a compelling call to action. Consider what changes you might make in your own life to cultivate a path that feels fulfilling and satisfying. Embrace the journey of self-discovery, and remember that by honoring your own needs, you not only enrich your life, but also set a powerful example for those you love. As we wrap up this heartfelt exploration of Leah's journey toward independence and self-discovery, we invite you to reflect on what you've learned today. How does her story resonate with your own experiences and relationships? We'd love to hear from you. What is one key takeaway you've gained from this video that you plan to implement in your own life? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Together, let's continue to foster a community where we support each other in living authentically and purposefully. Thank you for watching.